Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Monday to you. Hope you're having an awesome day. Fantastic week so far for the start, and obviously see if we can make this a good rest of the week here, of course, with some anticipation on where the price is going to go. We see some really awesome stuff here so far. We're up over some key level resistances. I want to bring that to your attention. Help you understand how much better this could look if it continues in the same direction. Now, we got to recognize also traditional markets are up. We'll look at that as well, but generally speaking, fantastic stuff here for Bitcoin. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm not a financial advisor, right? I just love teaching people to trade. So if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is the website. Link in the description below where you can become an active trader and effectively make sure that you understand specifically how to navigate these kind of markets, because we're taking profits pretty consistently, especially recently with some longs, and of course in the past we took some shorts as well. It's just kind of the way that it works with those futures, and oftentimes take somewhere in the range of 30 to 50% with an overall success rate of somewhere in the range of about 80%. So awesome stuff there. Check that out in your own time. Thank you so much to my current community members for just being amazing parts of my life. I love working with you and helping you out. So taking a look here at Bitcoin, let's start with traditional markets first of all. When we see NASDAQ and S&P, they all gapped up, right? So the traditional markets are definitely doing very well, and concurrently, what do you know? Dollar index is down. It lost its support level. So this is fantastic news for us in that sense, whereas dollar index should continue to progress lower, whereas Bitcoin should hypothetically increase from here, right? So again, some really awesome stuff in that regard. Today's push is testing a key level resistance here at about 22,500. That was a previous point of contention. And of course, at this point right now, looking at potential resistance level. So let's talk about this red line that I drew on the chart here, of course. This is an ascending trend, of course, that is coming back to fruition. In other words, we lost that ascending trend back here on that fateful day on August 26th, right? Actually, the fateful day was August 19th, but suffice to say we had two bad Fridays in a row. They just kind of tanked both Fridays. And then, of course, that consistency dissipated when we had a nice, strong Friday just recently. But the key here is that the price action continued to progress higher to test this level and then inevitably broke through it. Now, we can expect that to be a support level moving forward. What's even better is the fact that the 50-day SIP moving average is working very much concurrent with this here. In other words, if you can kind of see that 50, this orange line, that's essentially a key level resistance we needed to break through. Now, we're not officially done yet. Keep in mind, today's candlestick hasn't closed yet, right? So a little premature, not trying to celebrate too early, but I can tell you that this is a very positive sign, being up over the 50. Again, tentatively, we wanted a few more days close above this level to be in a good shape. But generally speaking, hypothetically, the price action comes back down, we should experience a bounce off this support level. Another thing to recognize too is we have this ascending type of trend as well from quite a while ago, at least a week ago roughly, and that could likely continue to push the price action higher as well. Now, I'm not saying that the price is going to shoot to the moon, as some others folks would like to say, but I can tell you that we're on the right side of the tracks, and we've broken our descending trend, and right now we're back on track with the previous ascending trend. Okay, so again, even though that correction took place, we're still looking in pretty good shape here. So that's excellent news there for Bitcoin. We can see we're working perfectly within the Fibonacci retracement levels. We're back up over 50 on the RSI. And I was concerned about, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday being just kind of like a temporary weekend, price action. But if you see the price or the amount of volume, we saw more volume on Saturday and Sunday than we did any other day previous last week. That's a pretty big sign there. Increased volume increases volatility there. It ensures that the price action is going to continue higher. Now, again, we didn't close on any double doji candles or single doji candles either as well. That was a point of concern for me on Saturday, I believe. And we're honestly looking in really good shape. So we have a lot of invalidation, so to speak, for bearish sentiment, and more so validations for the upside. Again, being above 50 on the RSI, I really like to see this. This is something we haven't seen in a good 3 or 4 weeks. Awesome stuff. So the likelihood of a continuation to the upside seems greater based on this overall sentiment. So based on the daily analysis, if you're looking only at the daily chart, it's looking very good. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the 4-hour and kind of get some understanding of what's going on here. First of all, with the 4-hour time frame, we can kind of see that we're still over 70 on the RSI, and it's working as a support level. This is typically not a great thing, but if it continues to sustain itself, it's positive. Just know that the dues will have to come due eventually, right? So we're going to need to see a correction eventually soon, but the likelihood of the price action continuing higher is still great. We're at a 6 on TD sequential on the 4 hour, implying that we have maybe 12 more hours continuation of the upside before we should experience some type of pullback and or consolidation. You look previously here, Bitcoin shot up to a 9, consolidated at resistance, inevitably broke through it, came up to bounce off that support level. That is standard textbook trading right there. So awesome stuff in that regard. TD sequential looks fantastic. 4 hours looking pretty dang good. The only thing we got to, again, recognize is that we're overextended. Within the next 12 hours, we could see some type of correction. We did see a slight convergence here in the MACD as well, but that's not super important for the moment based on the simple fact that we can obviously see the price actions still continuing upwards. So taking a look at the 1 hour, what we want to look at here is, of course, the cloud. I'm confident we're going to still be above it, because when I talked about the trading yesterday, we were kind of right in this range. And I was mentioning, hey, lagging span's coming close to the price action. Perhaps consider securing some profits. Hopefully you did, of course, but if you didn't, you're still in good shape, right? But the key is when you take profits, don't close your entire position. You want to let it ride, so to speak. But what I'm getting at here is the fact that even though lagging span was giving us the indication that we want to potentially consider closing our long or taking profits, we are still well above the cloud. Until we break below this lead, we are in good shape. Okay, so again, the price action comes down to bounce off the cloud, all well and good. It's ascending with this trend line, which is fantastic. Okay, so mostly great stuff there from the cloud, and it's not really saying you want to take a long position right now, because again, it is overextended. If we take a look at TD sequential, we are hitting a 9 right now officially, and that is likelihood of a pullback when we see that. So again, anytime you see a 9 in the past, there's a common correlation for it to want to pull back. Now again, it's not always true, not always accurate, because you see here, the price actually just continued higher. So I would not bet against Bitcoin for the moment. I think shorting is potentially a disadvantageous consideration, but once again, we want to see how this support levels hold, and of course we can maintain a price action above the 50-day SMA on the daily. That to me is probably the most important. So, all in all, really, really good stuff here from Bitcoin. Last thing we maybe want to take a look at is seeing if we are overextended on the volume, and we are getting darn close here. So this does kind of tell us that with us being outside the standard deviation lines, based on the volume weighted average price last 24 hours, we can experience perhaps a pullback in the near future. So again, outside the standard deviation plus a 9 on TD sequential, if you were to short, just say hypothetically, I wouldn't short any further than 22,000, because the price action would likely come down to bounce inevitably off the volume weighted average price line. That's a very common characteristic. We can see a very similar scenario here too with Bollinger Bands, whereas it's not quite as overextended as with the volume. And a lot of times what you want to do is kind of take a combination of both of these and put them together, because the volume weighted average price does tell us that it's overextended, but again, it's only factoring in the last 24 hours, and we got a reset, midday yesterday. So again, it's one of those things that's a little less consistent, but also very important to recognize. That's why you always want to use multiple indications on different time frames to kind of identify where you're at with things, because the overall sense of getting the feeling for the overall sense of what's going on is important, and you need to disseminate from other sources too, right? So I would just recommend maybe using, again, if you're new to the channel, maybe like 2 or 3 indicators per time frame, and kind of just stick with that and get a good system down, because that really helps you kind of get in and out of the market effectively. So again, that's kind of where we're at there. Generally speaking, looking very good here for Bitcoin. I expect further upside, but perhaps a stronger likelihood of maybe a slight correction between now and then. Right, so again, shorting right now wouldn't be terrible, just based on the overall sense that it seems overextended on the short term, but the long term, larger picture is looking very good. So you got to recognize that sometimes you don't want to bet against the house. So just be cautious if you're going to take a short position. Make sure it's a nice tight one. Okay. So all in all, that's kind of where we're at there. Hopefully that made sense to you and you learned something here today. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a website. Link in the description below. I definitely look forward to working with you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.